So the Speaker of Parliament put out a video the other day, just like a short video, basically, saying that they were holding the Youth Parliament for 2025, and I'd actually forgotten, but I had heard about it before, but we never had it when I was at school. I think I just missed it. I think they started doing it after I'd left school, so we never had a chance or opportunity for it. But I actually think this is actually quite. I actually think that it's. I was going to say it's like it's almost like a joke on the public, but they definitely take it seriously. I think it's it's an insult to people who are really trying to have a political voice and being blocked and obstructed. Mainly by e-petitions, but just generally from the main political parties. And it's part of this whole woke kind of movement and Charles's sort of World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, Davos, Fabian movement, which they've slowly been creeping in. Going all the way back, probably before Tony Blair, but, Tony Blair started e-petitions and it hasn't, I don't think it's a help. In fact, I'm sure they used to let people petition about local matters, and then they suddenly realised it wasn't a good idea for them, the main parties, that is, because it was so effective that they were losing control of councils to people, local people getting signatures and raising matters to government, and it likely was resulting in the loss of control of council, which the major parties like to have control of the council. And I think Blair probably thought, it makes the government look good. It makes the government look like it's got a inclusive and healthy democracy, right? Inclusion and diversity, right? This whole inclusion and diversity kind of like pitch at the public to make the government look good. E-petitions is like that. It kind of like it claims that it's opening up politics to everyone, right? But the truth of the matter is that with e-petitions, they're rejecting over half of the petitions, well over half of the petitions, and out of the ones that they reject, they won't even publish half of those, right? So they don't want people to see them. And therefore, so, a lot less than half are getting even published, and the speed that they're going through checking them is just joke. It's unacceptable. So it's purporting to be this kind of like accessible, open democracy for everyone, right? All inclusive, right? In fact, I don't think that there is in law an age limit on petitioning, right? You don't have to there's nothing in the Bill of Rights that says you have to be a certain age to petition. It said all subjects, right? So theoretically, a toddler could petition. From what I've seen, not in the Constitution anyway, there's no age limit. Now, the basis behind this youth parliament is the same. It's like, we're going to let children get involved in politics, get them interested in it. It's diversity and inclusion, right? But they're also letting all these territories in. Now, I don't know since ever when a territory has had a seat in the British Parliament, right? There's meant to be a seat for all of the counties around England and the constituencies, right? And Northern Ireland. but we don't have them for every single territory, you know, around the whole of the realm. And I think that it's actually unfair when people are having a hard enough time to get their voice heard, as it is with these political party domination, that they're actually setting aside all this time for kids to basically have a parliament and actually even speak in parliament and having a voice running on the basis that where it's diversity and inclusion, but like diversity of the whole world, you know, but clearly related to this plan of, you know, this sort of like one global nation type thing that we're encouraging. And they're making out like, oh, it's for poor children, right? That's another thing that they made out. Oh, it's for poor children who aren't come from very good backgrounds, right? You know, from the middle schools and so forth. Now, I know that, you know, Oxford and Cambridge have always had a very healthy sort of debate culture, you know. Oxford and Cambridge have this kind of like, you know, the buildings themselves, the antiquity of the buildings is very much parliamentarian kind of feeling to it, an atmosphere. They have debates, they have committees, they have all these things that are very parliament-like, and in a way they say that it prepares people like David Cameron and Boris Johnson and these, you know, Rees-Mogg and so forth. It prepares them for Parliament, so they've got the confidence and the practice of procedures and so forth, right? Now, in a way, you can see why if you're someone like Sir Lindsay Hoyle, like from, you know, Lancashire, over there, you know, from a working class background, right? You can see why to them they might think or believe that they're doing the world a favour, right? Or they're doing the country a favour, and they're doing grammar schools a favour, they're doing high schools a favour, they're doing working class society a favour by letting them elect kids, right? To go speak in Parliament. But the thing is, right, this is the Parliament of England, right? It's serious, and it runs on proper law. Now, if you're going to involve kids in politics, right, then why don't you just give them the vote younger? It would solve all the problems. If you wanted to involve kids in politics, then let them vote. But the thing is, if you let them vote, they might vote oddly and differently because they don't quite old enough to follow a party or know what they're doing. They might vote Monster Raving Loony Party or something like that. So they don't really want to give them the political power in the ballot box, because it'd be like a little bit like giving a kid a gun. They might, you know, if you let half the high school vote, they might think that the Monster Raving Loony Party are cool, right, and just vote for them because it sounds good, right? So they haven't got the balls to do it. They haven't got the testicles to give them the vote, right? So instead, they come up with this youth parliament. How can we involve kids in politics while keeping them under control? Well, we'll actually let them get elected and not vote for, you know, some, you know, let that actually have some political voting power to get some independent elected, you know, or whatever. We'll put them in Parliament because they're just kids, but then they can, you know, put their issues forward and so forth, right? Because apparently they might not have a chance to or whatever. But well, they would have a chance to if they actually had a vote in the ballot box. They might make some good permanently, right? Not just at this youth Parliament, right? But the thing that gets me with this, right, is that to me this is like, it's almost like headhunting, right? You know, like scouting for you know, up and coming young enthusiasts who might make good politicians in the future, and giving them a little chance to, you know, see Parliament and so forth. You know, in a way, it's a good thing to kind of like give the schools something that, you know, Oxford and Cambridge have had, you know, a serious advantage over private school children have had a serious advantage over public school children, but why not just have introduced parliamentary debates into schools, right? Why not just have in the curriculum, like they have to hold and have debates, learn about politics in schools? Why do they need to go into Parliament and do it? That's what Oxford and Cambridge were doing. They were holding and having debates. That's what gave them the edge. Now, if Oxford and Cambridge have the antiquarian buildings that make it feel all the extra, glitter on, sparkle on the, glitter on the kind of like, broomstick, Harry Potter broomstick, whatever, then why are councils and, construction companies obsessed with building all these modern schools and universities and buildings, right? Super modern, mega modern designs, right? They can have like Oxford and Cambridge style debates in any schools around England. But notice, we want to get them elected so they can go into Parliament to see the old-fashioned, the proper, the real Shiraz, the real deal, whatever. But they're ripping down antiquarian buildings. Our council can't wait to get rid of them. They're tearing them down. They're stripping them out. They're gutting them. They're demolishing them. They can't stand them. But they want to get the kids into Parliament, into the real deal building, into the real antiquarian old-fashioned building to see what it's like, because Oxford and Cambridge have always had their buildings and had debates there. Oh no, it's not good enough for the brand new modern spanking Barry Sheeman Media Centre, right? State of the art is not good enough to have schools, have a bit of parliamentary debate practice, because it's not enough like the real thing. But the buildings that were anything close to that in the area, they demolished them all and gutted them, right? Not that they even want it to be like Parliament anymore, because the time we finish, it's going to be like, the Senedd, or even worse, Scottish Parliament, some kind of spectre circle, and it's no homage to the the number zero, just having them sat around in a circle. Europe's the evidence of that. There's nothing worse than these new mega circle. Buildings they've got, like some kind of literally based on that Star Wars, in the Senate in Star Wars, when they're all kind of like, in that massive kind of space hall thing, sort of thing, there's nothing more terrible than that. So it's just kind of like for showmanship, and they're getting these kids right, and then they're getting them elected, and then they're going to speak politics. But that really, then, what politics are going to talk about? Well, not half the stuff that they banned out of e-petitions. If they won't even have it in e-petitions, then they're not going to have it, having those kids talk about it in Parliament. And particularly when, I wonder if, have they set aside Speaker Lindsay's, standing order? Can't talk about Southport. What if they want to talk about Southport? Oh, no, we're not having a debate about Southport. Can we have an exemption in the children? What if the children want to speak about it? This is the thing, to me, it's kind of like, this is the new kind of like, it's like the Uniparty Academy. It's the Tory Conservative headhunting academy, Uniparty Academy for kids, basically. They're going to be nice little new, groomed, new little... These are going to be the new Tories and the new Labour MPs of tomorrow, like young Jack Rankin, for example, right? These are the Jack Rankins coming out of the coming out of the conveyor belt, right? When in reality, right, all of those kids could, if they wanted to engage in politics through schools, they could do petitions and get them involved in politics. They could get them involved in petitions. I mean, you start at the bottom and work up. In an apprenticeship, right, you start at the bottom and you work up, right? So, you don't become the head of a business, right, straight away, unless you just win the lottery and buy one, You're meant to start in the business lower down and work up. And this is the thing. So why aren't they getting schools in, going round, going door to door, getting signatures, collecting, getting flyers printed, doing a campaign, try and do a campaign to something that they're interested in, like, getting a new playground or something with a local council. Ooh, best not start messing with the control of the council, getting kids and schools into having a bit of a go in control of the council. Ooh, that'll be taking a bit more, chipping away at the control of the council. Ooh, no, don't want to do that. Don't get them on the ground floor, insert them high up, straight into the elected slot at the top, don't get them too involved in politics. They'll be going around the old village and they'll be blocking all the houses getting built, Oh, so then, what interests you then? Well, my mum and dad are really upset about the housing estate. That means something to me, so for my project, we'll go and get signatures around the old village. Bloody hell, councillors will have an heart attack. Bloody hell, they can't do that. Councillors will be having a bloody heart attack. But, school kids want to do the political petitioning project on blocking my best housing estate that I've got planned. Strategic planning department. Can't have that. This is the thing. The thing that we're retarded, right? And this is the thing with linseed oil. It's thickness. He thinks that we're thick, right? But it's not like, working class Lindsay. It's like working class Lindsay is like got the devil's advocate handshake with David Cameron, right? We can't have, our best Labour and Tory plans ruined by these kids, This is the thing. So, you keep the kids under control. This is the thing. But this is the thing. Laura Corrigan is a young girl. Laura Corrigan, I would have thought, can't fall that far outside of that age range. I mean, she might be just outside it, but she can't be that far outside it. I'm pretty sure she was a college student. She might be a university student, but I'm sure she was a college student. But there were a lot of college students involved in that tampon tax, and they had a massive impact on the country. They did something for all of the women of the whole country on a very personal consumable, which women rely on a daily basis, and it was a lot of a big change to revenue, surely, and that was done by mainly very, very, very young people, right? So petitioning is access. Children have got access to petitioning. They don't need to be elected MPs, right? And the thing is, I don't think MPs really want to encourage kids into campaigning, because MPs don't really like protests. They don't like demonstrations. That's for the ruffians. That's for the dregs, right? Dregs and ruffians do protesting and campaigning, right? Even though, some MPs like Theresa Villiers or whatever, might, organise a protest or whatever, but, protesting and protesting and demonstrations are for, the dregs in society, right? And for unruly people, effectively the people that they block after the petitions out of e-petitions, that they don't want to have them on there. They won't put them on there. They won't publish them. Don't meet their standards, right? And this is the thing. The whole thing, right, is pivoted on this preposterous claim of inclusion and diversity. E-petitions is the worst. There's nothing ever got the worst score of inclusion and diversity on the face of this planet than e-petitions. It is not inclusive and diverse to different people and different opinions. It's saying that certain opinions aren't to their standards, certain ways of speaking aren't to their standards, certain ways of talking aren't to their standards. So if they're trying to say, well, I'm not quite Oxford or Cambridge, but, I got an A, that's something, right? But it's still not up to their standards. They've got these standards, right? But the standards are anti-inclusion and diversity, because the standards say that anything that is diverse to their standards, they've got these extremely ridiculously, well, they're fake, they're not even real standards, they're total, utter, false, fabricated, tosh standards, right? We're pure lie standards, right? But this Parliament, it on a daily basis, it's trying to make out that it's all for diversity and inclusion. You know, don't matter your race, religion, education level, age, you name it, we're here for you. And now we've got a special little kids Parliament, right? You know, but the real voters, the main voters, the people who go and vote, apparently, even though they went to a school and they were young at one time and they learned and they got educated, they're up to their standards. So you couldn't have a more retarded group of people running the country. They're so full of absolute tosh, just tosh. The utter, they come out with absolute, complete tosh. It could not stand up in a court of law. And the only reason they're getting away with it is because of the privileges, because no one takes them to court, right? And this is what black belt barristers getting annoyed with Parliament as well. If they weren't hiding behind the privileges, and this is the thing what I'm starting to get into learning now, because since I've been reading a lot of William Prynne, turns out people like Matt Hancock and so forth have been breaking the rules left, right and centre in Parliament, right? And there are many breaches of privilege, which is not dealt with in the courts. It's meant to be dealt with in Parliament. But they've blocked us from the accessing and using the disciplinary tools of usage of Parliament, which is, we're meant to give directions to MPs for what we want them to do with the laws of the land, but also that they're tools to hold them to account, and not just, send a complaint to the freaking ombudsman or whatever. We're talking about make them do it when they refuse to, with massive amounts of weight of pressure of persons backing something, right? But they don't want anyone to see it. They don't want group litigation through e-petitions in massive amounts of numbers when they've done something wrong. And then you've got the Senate saying that, how would we get them to tell the truth? Well, you'll tell the truth when we put a petition up there and 20,000 people sign it that you're a lying bastard, right? This is the thing. We're policing it. It's not done by the courts. It's done through Parliament, but they blocked it off. So, they don't want the dregs of society to get any political power or sway, right? But they don't want to say that. And they're pushing all this diversity and inclusion, but this diversity and inclusion, they're saying, we've got to involve a lot more races, a lot more religions, and now even other territories and so forth. It makes them look very, very good, like they're involving all different, they keep all the different countries happy. Look, isn't England brilliant? We don't fall out with any religions. We don't fall out with any different countries or cultures. We're very open here. We're very diverse. But when it's, actually the truth is, no, look at all these rejected petitions. We're not having diversity. We're not having inclusion. What about the diversity of, these are the petitions of people from these backgrounds. We're open to all backgrounds. We want to have political opinion to all backgrounds. No, what they want to do is, they want to manipulate people to these standards, which aren't standards, they're conditions and rules, parameters, which they want to have a fixture on and not allow anything outside. So their parameters aren't inclusive. Their parameters aren't diverse, because they're saying that anything outside of these parameters is dreg, scum. it's bad behaviour, it's bad manners, it's bad policies, it's bad ideas. It's tosh, right? So it's inexclusive. It's not inclusive. It's not inclusive of the true society, the true people. It's not inclusive of the true diverse standards. They really want to make their own nice little, clear the floor and have all these nice little kids coming on who all happen to be different colours and different ages now. And, didn't we do well? We're including all these different people. But they're not including different people. What they're actually doing is they've excluded all the people who actually really had serious issues. I mean, the government and can't even get anything. They don't even want to even give them a fair chance to collect any signatures on half of the stuff. They won't even have it on there, right? So it's just tosh. It's that they want their own club, their own gangs, and it's all like for Labour and Tory, kind of like a grooming gang cult. Spread to the world, making it look like, then when Africa looks at it and China looks at it and they see nice little Chinese kids in England being invited into Parliament and getting voted in school, aren't we doing good? When the truth is, the country, the reason all these people are protesting and doing the demos and protests, which is the scum way to do politics, the poor man's way to do politics. Why? Because they were blocked, rejected, excluded from e-petitions like Extinction Rebellion. They didn't want it on there. They didn't want people to have a fair chance. And the early petitions thing, when you do get it debated, is tosh anyway. It's like a sideshow, and people going berserk, and only then people start having to go out on the streets and collect signatures and basically make a racket, right? Because they're being excluded, because Parliament is exclusive, not inclusive, because Parliament is indiverse, not diverse, and they're desperately trying to make it look to the world like, they want to keep Charles is going around handshaking all these countries, Africa, China, Poland, whatever, every flag under the sun, right? And look good. Oh, we look good. Look, it looks good. Look at this. We've got a youth parliament. Doesn't that make us look good? We've got all different ethnicities in this youth parliament now. Doesn't that look good? Aren't we doing good? No, you're actually not. You're lying and cheating people out of their rights in politics because you don't like the things they're asking for, which and you're claiming that it's not in your standards. And what you're doing is you are shoehorning in all these young kids who actually are too young to understand real politics and real problems and troubles in life. And in fact, if they were that bothered about young people's troubles and problems in life, right, then they give them the vote. That's just plain and simple. Every single high school kid would have the vote, right? But they actually don't really believe that they're competent enough to have the vote. If they truly believed, right, that they were competent to have the vote, they give them it, right? But they know they're not. And if they're not fit to have the vote, right, then why invite them into Parliament and have a youth parliament? Oh, it's just a bit of a laugh and a giggle, Well, actually, it's a bit of a laugh and a giggle every other day of the week when hardly any MPs turn up to debate. When there's George Galloway stood there where there's an empty room, right? That's a laugh and a giggle when we've all elected an MP and have a right to have an MP in Parliament and there's no cunt there. It's empty, right? That's insulting, that we've all elected MPs and we've all got a right to have someone in Parliament to speak for us, but they never can be bothered turning up, and Matt Hancock's in the jungle having a party. right? And Boris Johnson was at a party, and that's going to be a breach of privilege of Parliament to not be there when your electors have got a right to have, they voted for someone and they haven't got anyone, right? That's the thing with Matt Hancock. It is scandalous, having this youth parliament and saying that, trying to have young people inclusive, right? What about all the young people, who, parents go to surgery to see an MP to have him in parliament, but he's not there, right? This is the thing, because he's in the jungle with Matt Hancock or whatever. This is the thing. It's just insult after insult after insult. It's just more PR. It's just like it's like going to Cologne, to a trade show. It's like a Parliament trade show, but I don't think it's funny. But it's all PR now. It's all point of sale. It's all like the global shop floor. That is a massive public pitch. It's like it's an advert to Uruguay. It's like the Eurovision Song Contest. It was meant to unite Europe, but it's like sort of like the Eurovision Song Contest, but it's like the Eurovision, youth parliament, because they really don't want those kids to have the vote, or else that they would lower the voting age, and then they're unpredictable because they can't trust them. The kids are going to be wildly unpredictable. They can't make the kids all vote Tory or Conservative. It was nuts, the whole suffragette thing. It was crazy, the suffragettes bothering to go out of their way to get the vote, because by the time the women have finished making all the hustle to get a vote, there's only two parties that they vote for. So what's the point? 100 years of women's suffrage campaigning, right? And then they managed to, so they can go to the polling station and vote for the Labour Party, for the next, 200 years, which all working class women were going to do, vote for Mayor Tracy Brabin, right? Guaranteed, it's, where's the diversity and inclusion in that, no matter what we do, they're one step ahead. They make sure that all them women vote Labour, right? If we're going to give them the vote, make sure by the time they get the vote, they're all going to vote Labour, right? Or else, they might start voting for more exotic parties. This is the thing. They're playing us for, dumb. But they're dumb. Them MPs are dumb. We've had some of these MPs don't even know their own rights. You surely can't be fit for Parliament if you don't even know your own rights. Look at Mike Amesbury. It's just ridiculous. I'm getting sick of it now. Everyone's getting sick of it. And I'm a person who's grown up with extremely liberal views and very much happy with all different types of people, but it's got to the point now where a lot of the English people have now realised that we've lost the edge. We're actually losing an intellectual edge, and that people in charge like people who do what they say and don't question it. And for them, diversity and inclusion is a way to have people who do as they're told, and people who like telling other people what to do. And that's the thing with this multicultural movement, unfortunately. With the multicultural movement, The problem is you get people like Tony Blair and so forth, and it's all good PR for overseas, and it all looks good because it looks like we're being very fair and inclusive and so forth, but only because the people that they include do what they're told. And when they do that, they also then get the privilege of telling other people what to do as long as they do what they're told. And when it comes to negotiating with them and trying to use intellectual edge, they haven't got it. And you can't even argue with them. You can't even debate with people anymore. It's like trying to, you can't debate with a sledgehammer, with a blunt sledgehammer. This is the thing, So, and that's the thing that, the politicians don't like losing. And this is the thing. Our political power is meant to be the fact that we've got the legal right to challenge them on anything that we want to put on the table, and we're being obstructed and blocked on false standards. And it's not inclusive, regardless of, whether we're dregs of society or not. And that's the thing with this whole, David Cameron, Oxford, roll your sleeves up, type approach. And I don't think Nigel Farage is really that much different now. Even though he's, got sweat flying from his brow and he's fully animated on the platform, it's not inclusive. They're not being inclusive to all people, all age groups, and all views. Those standards are actually obstructing and blocking out and doing the complete opposite to what they claim they're doing. Meanwhile, they're inviting in all these, young kids, right, who are a lot more impressionable, and they're teaching them all the etiquette and manners and so forth, be respectable and all this. But so they'll basically, bring them in and talk about the things that, they let them sort of talk about. There's no doubt that they've been sort of given projects and things at school, around certain subjects. I'd like to see what happened if, for example, these kids that turn up in this youth government, right, start coming out with some of the things that, maybe, let's just say for, randomness, right? Let's just say for randomness, like it could happen, randomness, like let's get every single rejected petition from e-petitions, right? And let's say, for example, just for pure random chance, right, that, all these young kids from the schools, apparently it's a chance for young people from, lesser privileged backgrounds to have a chance to speak in Parliament. Well, let's just say that, when they turn up and what they're going to speak happens to be the same subjects as, all those petitions that got rejected, and actually written down and voiced in the same way as how they were written down for what got them rejected, because they didn't say them right, or they didn't say them how the petitions committee wanted to be worded or said, or whatever. This is the thing. So, I'd like to see what happened then, in fact, they'd probably let the kids do it, and then, where's your fairness in that? It's just another, it's like Flair, it's another, it's just like it effectively is a point of sale PR stunt for the world, mainly because of Oxford and Cambridge having an advantage, But why not just, they could just have parliamentary debate in schools. They don't need to have a parliament. They don't need to have a youth parliament. They could just do it. How private schools have done it. Introduce debate into schools, political debate. Why not? Why does it have to be in the Parliament building? As if like, no, Oxford and Cambridge, just to try and make up for all Oxford and Cambridge's advantage that they had with all of old-fashioned buildings, which, by the way, Labour councils can't stand buildings of antiquity. They think they're shit. They think they're they're crap. They think that they need immediately gutting, stripping out, and demolishing. Right, but the brand new spanking £10 billion school, right? It is not good enough to have debates in. Like Oxford and Cambridge do, because it's not Parliament. It's not antique. It's not fancy wood and gold edge cupped staircases. So it's not private prep school. So they've got to send them into Parliament. So then it feels proper. Well, no, it feels proper when you've got a £10 million school, which we us taxpayer had to pay, and it's not good enough for you to debate in. You've got to actually fucking go into the real Parliament to do it, just to make up for Oxford and Cambridge having fancy old schools, which our local council can't stand, spits on it, like it's not some kind of like, Empire Sports Centre or whatever. This is the thing. They're just nutcases, these councils. They really don't know what they fucking want. They do. They wouldn't know what they want, right? If it were around them 20 times. They're just we need to. The only thing that's obsolete in this country is councillors and MPs. We need to, we need to. We don't need MPs. We don't need MPs and we don't need councillors. The quicker we scrap MPs and councillors, the better, because they're literally not fit for purpose. We need to ditch them. They need they need getting rid of as soon as possible, so everyone can just have their vote on whatever it is that decisions need to be made on, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, the idea of it, fair enough, but they don't want kids to be involved in politics. Really, they're pretending they want them to. Or else, they just say, why don't you just vote when you're, 4 or 5 year old? This is the thing, why not?